Hey everyone, this is a video on completing the square now that we're fixed all the other things that we had. So there are two things for completing the square. One of them is to find a vertex, and one of them is to actually solve the equation. When we're finding the vertex, we're looking for that point or that point on a parabola. When we're solving, we're looking for where the parabola crosses the x-axis. So these are two different things. So I'm going to start with this, y equals x squared plus, I'm going to go ahead and use a odd number this time, 5x minus 3. Using an odd number makes it a little bit more challenging, but not tremendously challenging. So our first thing we're going to do is we're going to move that constant over to the side. So we're just going to take that minus 3 and shove it over a little bit. Then we always take the linear term, and the linear term is the one with just a single x, or x to degree 1. And we're going to put half of that in a box. So I'm going to get 5 halves. Now, if that 5 was an 8, you can just write 4. You don't have to write 8 halves. Okay? Now, whatever's in this little square box, if I square it, it will complete this thing so it makes it a perfect square. So when I square this, I'm going to get 25 fourths. So I'm going to add 25 fourths. And to keep my equation balanced, I need to subtract 25 fourths. So now my equation will look like this. Y equals, and this trinomial right here is a perfect square. And it's always x and whatever's in your box squared. So x plus 5 halves times x plus 5 halves equals x squared plus 5x plus 25 fourths. Now over here, I got a minus 25 fourths, and I got a negative 3. So I can scratch off the negative 3 and rewrite it as negative 12 over 4. So I get both of these things to have the same denominator. And of course, 12 divided by 4 is 3. I still have the negative. So I haven't changed the number. I've just changed the way the number looks. Now I have negative 12 and negative 25. That gives me a total of negative 37 fourths. Now I know this format right here is vertex format. So my vertex for this thing is at negative 5 halves, whatever's the opposite of this number. So negative 5 halves, comma, negative 37 fourths. Now, if I wanted to, I could do this division pretty easily, and you'd see it's at negative 2.5, and then 4 times 9 is 36, so that's negative 9, and then I had 1/4 left over, so negative 9.25. And if we were to put that into our calculator right now, that would find the vertex. Okay? Now, if I'm trying to solve the equation, that means I'm looking at something like this. I want to know where the equation equals 0, because that is when the y value equals 0. So I'm just replacing basically the y over here with a 0. Now I'm going to make up a completely different problem right now on this side, just so that you can see it through again. X squared plus 6x. I'm going to do a minus, let's do a minus 4, because a minus 4 definitely doesn't factor. And if you can factor this, we want to factor it first. That's hopefully an obvious thing. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to do 0 equals x squared plus 6x. I'm going to move my minus 4 over. Again, I'm doing the same process almost all the way down. 0 equals x squared plus 6x. Now I got to make this thing a perfect square. So again, in my box goes half of that term. Half of 6 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So I put a plus 9 here and a minus 9 here, remembering that I still have that negative 4 that's already over there. 0 equals x plus 3 squared, because it always factors. This always factors into whatever's in your box. X plus 3 squared, because x plus 3 times x plus 3 is this thing here. And then I got a minus 4 and a minus 9. That's a minus 13. So if I'm at this point right here, this is my vertex, right? My vertex is negative 3, negative 13. However, I'm trying to solve now, so instead of stopping at this point, I'm going to move this minus 13 to the other side, So I have 13 equals parentheses x plus 3 close parentheses squared. So again, this is the point where I'm trying to solve the equation for x. I have a square outside of a parenthesis, so I square root both sides. Whenever I square root a variable, I have to look at plus or minus. So I have plus or minus the square root of 13. And then over here, that square root kills that square, so it equals x plus 3. Still, trying to solve. Solve means finding the x. So I'm going to subtract 3, I'm going to subtract 3, and I know now that x equals negative 3 from this, plus the square root of 13, and x equals negative 3 minus the square root of 13. Now those numbers might look a little funky, but we can go ahead and take our handy dandy little calculator if we want to know the approximations. Again, on the test, that is a great answer. Leave it just like that. I go to my home screen, I clear that out, and I put in negative 3 plus the square root of 13. That gives me 0.6055, 0.6055, and negative 3 minus the square root of 13, and that gives me negative 6.6055. Now, I want to make sure that we're clear on this and what all of this means. So I'm going to go here on my calculator. I'm going to type in this original equation, x squared plus 6x minus 4, x squared plus 6x minus 4. I'm going to go zoom 6. On my zoom 6, you can see my vertex is just a little bit lower here right now than what I thought on a zoom 6 window, because it only goes to negative 10. But that's good, because my vertex right here says it's negative 3, negative 13. So on my window, I go to my y-min, I go to negative 18, just far enough to go below it, graph it again, and I want to find that vertex. So here's another quick reminder. Second trace, number 3 minimum. I move my cursor to the left, I hit enter. Remember, the great thing about these videos that I'm doing right now is you can stop them, pause them, catch up anytime you need to be able to see exactly where we're at. I'm going to guess, well, I feel like it's going to be negative 3, negative 13, because I think I did this right. And you can hit enter, and you can see it's negative 3, negative 13. Now, these places it crosses the x-axis, which is what we're solving for when x equals 0, look kind of shady. They're kind of in the middle. But again, these numbers over here weren't exactly nice numbers. So I want to find this one. I'm going to go ahead and put y2 at 0. I'm going to hit graph. Now I can just find the intersections of the blue and the red twice. Second trace, number 5, enter, enter, enter. You can see this one found this one, which is just to the right of the origin, and it shows 0.6055, which is the same number that I got down here. Second trace, number 5, I'm going to move my cursor. Again, I got to get it closer to that intersection point. Enter, enter, enter. And this one's negative 6.6055, which is exactly what we got when we did it algebraically. So again, this video was on completing the square using vertex form to be able to find a vertex. Even did it with an odd linear term or linear coefficient. And then solving, which just means you're going to do the same thing to find the vertex, and then you're going to move the y value of the vertex to the other side, square root both sides, make sure you remember your plus or your minus, and then approximate those things or put them into your calculator if it's a calculator version. Hopefully this was really beneficial for you and that you will rock star all of this homework. Thanks.